And Neil Diamond here on 102.3 WHTL. It is 11 o'clock. And it is WHTL 102.3 in Whitehall, Wisconsin. Time for the open house with Hanson Real Estate Group out of Independence.
It's time for the open house on WHTL.
What are you, some kind of real estate agent?
You're joking, right? I don't joke about real estate.
With the Hanson Real Estate Group.
I never understood why people are so afraid to eat at an open house.
I know. The open house starts right now.
And it does, and we enjoy having Hanson Real Estate Group in every Wednesday at 11, and this week I get to chat with Josh Baecker. Hey, Josh, good morning.
Hey, Mark, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and good to see you. In fact, I've talked to your dad many, many, many times on the air, and now I get to talk to Josh. How about that?
Carrying the torch on here.
You are, and you're going to do just fine. Of course, I know you grew up in Independence.
Yep.
Tell me about all about your life. Obviously, you're in real estate now, but what did you do after high school?
Well, like I said, I grew up in Independence, and I spent a lot of time as a kid on my mom's brother's farm, chicken barn, beef cows. So I spent a lot of time out there, and a lot of my friends are in farming, so I just kind of gravitated towards agronomy. So once I graduated high school, I went to UWRF, River Falls, and studied agronomy, crop science. I graduated with a bachelor's degree there and moved back home and decided to start working so I could pay off those student loans. So I took a job at Dairyland Labs, and I ended up staying there for, it must have been 8-9 years, I think.
What were you doing at Dairyland Labs? What kind of work were you doing there?
I started back in the feed prep department. So when samples come in, the raw samples, a lot of times they're in Ziploc bags, and you just mix them up, weigh them, dry them, grind them so they can get tested in wet cam or by the NIR machine.
Now, when you test them, you're testing for what? Different types of nutritional values and so on?
Yep. Fiber content, digestibility, starch content, toxins as well. They also do water testing there. So they do quite a bit.
I don't think people realize how much goes into that. It's got to be pretty complex putting together the feeds for animals, making sure it's nutrition based and also healthy. I would imagine there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Oh, for sure. And everything's getting more efficient nowadays from the testing equipment Dairyland Labs has there, just to the technology and the crops and everything. So obviously, just the farmers are all trying to get the most bang for their buck and get the most efficiency out of their animals. So.
And then after that, real estate, how'd that come about?
Well, I started at Dairyland Labs in June of 2012, and I moved back home, so I was living with my parents, and I saw Dad had a real estate study book there. I'm like, what are you doing with that? He's like, I'm going to do it part-time, I think. Well, he just ended up deciding he didn't have enough time to do it, so he gave it to me and said I should study it and do it part-time. So I did.
Dad's to blame for all of this.
Yeah. It was never part of my big scope in life, but I decided to start doing it part-time. And I knew the Warners, Mike and Richard, so I was going to start working for Northern Investment. I had a place to start once I did get it, so that helped as well. And I got that in spring of 2013, I believe, and then I started out of the Arcadia office with Tom Shank. So I owe a lot to Tom Shank. He mentored me to get me started in the business while I was working 2 jobs. And then I did start doing some clerking, cashiering for the auction side as well while I was doing real estate. And a lot of times I was just the extra man, like when they had 2 auctions and they needed a second crew. So I didn't do a lot of the setup, but I just worked a lot of the auction days.
So how did it transition into a full-time thing?
Real estate just started getting busier and busier, and it was just getting to be too hard to balance working at the lab and doing real estate at the same time. So I just had to take the jump and jump into doing it full-time.
Sounds to me like it was a pretty good jump.
It's been going pretty good, so I definitely have no regrets.
Now, were you with Northern Investment then before the merger with Hanson?
Yep, correct.
Okay. How did all that come about, and was it how did it affect you going from Northern Investment over to Hanson Realty Group?
It didn't really affect me at all. We all stayed, so it just, the title changed, but nothing else really changed. So.
And from talking to everybody over at the group there, it sounds to me like it's been a really good situation for everybody.
Yep. Yep, I think we all are enjoying it, and we stayed in the old office for a while. Mike and Richard let us stay there until we got the new office completed. Jamie did some renovations on that property there, so it was just a smooth transition. Nobody got let go and nothing changed suddenly, so it's just a nice smooth transition for us and all of our customers.
Now, if people aren't familiar with where that new office is, where is it exactly?
If you know where the old Club 93 lot is, about halfway between Independence and Arcadia on the east side of the highway there, you'll usually see there's a house, that's our office, and then the big empty lot, which is filling up with equipment now because we got our next consignment auction coming. So you'll usually see a fair amount of farm equipment in that lot.
Now, one aspect of the realty business that people aren't necessarily really thinking about a lot, I don't think, but it's becoming really common to see those aerial footage shots of property and houses, and you have become a certified drone pilot. That's pretty fascinating.
I have. I got my license last spring, I believe, March of 23, so I am actually certified to fly a drone. If you're doing it on your own, you want to fly it around your house, you don't need it, but if you're going to do it commercially, you're supposed to have it. So I decided to go and get that, and I do a lot of the drone footage for our stuff around here. Janet, she's also in the company, she does a lot of the stuff up north, and she also handles putting all the footage together.
How complex is it to get that license? I mean, it's got to be pretty interesting stuff to do.
I was surprised at how complicated and in-depth it was. You study the same things that pilots study when they go to fly planes. So you don't have to go as in-depth with it, but it's a lot of the same things, like reading the flight maps of the country and weather forecast readings. So it was definitely more than I thought it was going to be, but I'm glad I got it.
And they're pretty there's a lot of rules that govern that, I think, as far as airspace and, private property opposed to public property and everything else, I would imagine, in there.
Well, public versus private property doesn't really play into it. You're not supposed to fly above crowds or above people where they could get hurt, but nobody owns the air up to 400 feet above ground level. So
if you get above that, then you got to be careful.
Then you got to ask permission, get permits, and just make sure you're approved so that there's no accidents in the air.
That makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. And I'll tell you, that's fascinating. It really is. It's amazing how drones have grown, and the reliability and the ability with their cameras is pretty impressive. It really is.
It is, and that's a lot of the price in a drone is the camera quality. So batteries are getting more efficient and cheaper, and technology is getting better, but yeah, those cameras are
pricey.
I'm surprised at how great they are.
Okay, one thing you want to talk about, and a lot of people who are thinking about buying a property, this is something that is very smart to do. And I'm not sure a lot of people do still, but it's getting pre-approved. What does it mean? What does it do? And why is it a benefit?
All right, so the first thing you do if you get an accepted offer on a house, if you flash forward, is you have to apply for a mortgage. So when you apply for a mortgage, they want to know all of your financial situations, what your income is, all of your assets, and what current debts you have, like credit card debt. If you have a current mortgage, if you're looking to buy a second home, or if you're renting, they want to know how much you're paying rent, your utilities, just your average monthly costs. If you have any student loan debt, and a lot of times the car loans are a big portion of your debt load. So they just want to calculate all that to see how much you can afford per month. And getting pre-approved means you go to the bank before you write an offer on a house. So you're wanting to start looking at housing. First thing you should do is go to your lender and just give them all that information. And you can shop around at that time too, because you don't want to waste time shopping around when you have an offer. Because
so when you say shop around, finding the best terms and the best credit limit that you can find.
Yep, correct. Some people go from bank to bank. Some people like the bank they use. Other people use multiple banks for different things. So if you want to find the one you want, otherwise if you know which one you're going to use, you just go in there and tell your lending agent, hey, I want to buy a house. What do I need to do from here? They'll take around your financial information and just calculate how much you can afford. So then they'll tell you you can afford this much house, so that you're not out there looking at houses $100,000 over what you can afford. And then when you go to apply for the loan, they deny you, and then you don't get the house. And then the seller loses time on the market. So a lot of times we require pre-approval letters before we show a property, and definitely before we write an offer.
It makes total sense because that way you're going in, especially if you're a buyer, you're right. It makes total sense because okay, this is the price range that I need to be in, and I'm already pre-approved for this price range, so there's nothing stopping me from making the offer. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep, and it gives you the leg up a lot of times on if a property comes to the market, there's a lot of attention, and there's other people that want to write an offer, but they don't have a pre-approval letter, or some agents will write without one. When those offers get presented to the seller, yours is going to hold more weight knowing that you're pre-approved. Now, that's not a guarantee that you're going to get the loan, but at least it shows the seller you've done all your homework beforehand, and there's a high probability that you'll be approved.
So it's basically doing work on the front end to make it easy on the back end.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Well, that makes total sense. It really does. Now, people are wondering about can real estate agents like you, can you help people through the process of getting pre-approved? Can you tell them what they need as far as paperwork and so on before they go to the bank?
I mean, I can give them some general ideas of what they're going to need, but every bank's a little bit different what they're going to require. Some of them just want like a 2 or 3 of your last pay stubs, or if you're self-employed, they want at least 2-3 years tax returns just to try and calculate your financial income.
Sure.
And the pre-approval letters are nice because they're usually good for 3 months. So if you're looking for a year, you just call back and say, hey, nothing's changed. Can I get a current pre-approval letter? And a lot of times, if nothing's changed, they'll just send you a new one.
And you've got some properties that you want to talk about today.
Yeah, the market's been doing pretty well, as Jamie, Jackie, Jacob told you. I mean, we're kind of short on listings, and the ones that come on sell pretty quickly. So
it's still very much a buyer's marketplace.
It is. The last 2 months, it's really just gotten active.
So if you've got a property you want to sell, now's a good time to do it.
It is.
A lot of buyers.
There's a lot of buyers, and a lot of pre-approved and qualified buyers.
And from what everybody's been telling me who comes in from the real estate group, it doesn't take long. Offers happen pretty quickly today.
They do. I just listed a house on Jefferson Street in Independence over the weekend here on Saturday, and yesterday we had an accepted offer on it already.
Wow.
And a pre-approval letter was a big part of that. He was able to write right away.
Is that one of the properties you have listed here, or?
Yep.
That one on Jefferson, the 4-bed, 2.5 bath?
Yep.
Wow. So you had an offer and acceptance in 3 days.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And Jackie just had one listed too in Whitehall here. I see it got an accepted offer in just a few days. I don't know the exact number of days, but that one got an accepted offer pretty quick.
It takes me longer than 3 days to figure out what clothes I'm going to wear. So that's impressive. I got to tell you what. Okay, now you've got a couple of other properties you want to talk about.
Yes, I just listed a property outside Arcadia, a country setting, 9.25 acres, Dorns Road outside Arcadia there. About 15 minutes you can be in town. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath, has a master bedroom with a walk-in closet and a master bath. So they added a huge 2-car garage, 2+ car garage in 2015 to give you some extra garage space, so it's technically a 4-car garage. It's got a pretty nice pond patio area with a rock waterfall on it as well. And just it's a peaceful country setting. There's not a lot of traffic on that road. It's got a trail system if you like to go for walks and just enjoy nature. It's a pretty peaceful setting.
That sounds really nice. And you said it's on 9.25 acres?
Yep, correct.
Wow, that's really a nice property out there on Dorns Road. And then you have another one that's over in Black River Falls.
Yep, Jackie and I have an auction property coming up. It's a Black River Falls address. It's just outside of Melrose, town of Melrose. So that's 187 acres, just over. There's actually 2 homes on it. There's like a guest home, kind of bungalow down below next to the big shed. There's a huge shed on it. And then there's a nice A-frame, just cabin-style house they built up on the hill. And then you got 187 acres to roam, hunt. There's a few open areas that could be easily turned into food plots, or you can set up trail systems and just enjoy it on your own. But it's a very nice parcel. That house is perched up on the hill, overlooking the river area, and it's just a very nice setting as well.
Boy, 187 acres, that's a big property up there. Now, that's going on a live auction starting when?
June 14th will be the live and online auction.
Okay. Now, is the home on Dorns Road, is that up for auction as well, or that's just a listing?
That's just a conventional listing.
Okay. And if they want to see that home, they can look at it, I'm sure, online, probably at your website.
Yep, it's on our website now, so I uploaded it this morning. She should
Okay.
all be on there. And if you have questions or you want to schedule a showing, just give me a call. And for the Melrose property, we're getting it up and going here, so we're going to need another couple weeks just to get everything organized and cleaned out. And that one, keep an eye out. It's on our website right now, Hanson's website, but there will be more coming in the next couple weeks.
And that auction will start June 14th. Okay. People want to contact you. What's your phone number?
My cell phone, 715-533-4114. That's the best way to get a hold of me. You can text or call.
All right. 715-533-4114, and we'll give the website so everybody can go check out that property on Dorns Road.
Our website is hregroup.com.
HRE, that's pretty simple.
It is.
There you go. Hanson Realty Group, Josh Baecker. Josh, thank you for coming in. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure to be here.
And you'll be back again in a few weeks. Next week, I think we're going to have Jamie back, you said?
Yep, I believe he's due up next week, and then I'll be back on the last Wednesday of May here.
So Jamie back will be back next week. There you go.
Yep.
How about that? All right, Josh Baecker, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Open house here on WHTL every Wednesday at 11, brought to you by the Hanson Real Estate Group. See, that wasn't hard, was it?